1 second. I have to go take care of that now. I'm very, very sorry. What?
In a corner of that small, dark
Hold up.
room, Sholmes and I waited with bated breath. In time, there came from the ventilator a hiss and a soft, almost growl-like sound. Suddenly, Sholmes sprang into action, lashing furiously with his cane at a point in the darkness. "You see it, Wilson?" he yelled, his tense voice reverberating through the air. I raised my dark lantern shutter, and the room slowly came into view. Sholmes was staring intently at one particular corner when he started whispering to me. The victim's most perplexing final words. The speckled band.
That's the name of the chapter.
I believe this is the terrible cold to which she referred, Wilson. In front of us was an enormous adder, its fangs bared as it threatened
Adder?
to strike. It truly was the most terrible speckled band I had ever seen.
9th, January 6:37 a.m. On board the steamship Buria. Bark, bark, bark.
So, let us unravel this mystery and discover what events led to this
Oh,
curious murder.
I guess we're looking forward in time.
The cabin door was bolted from the inside when the man was killed. No marks to suggest that it was tampered with in any way.
What do you mean?
This would appear to be
It's clearly been busted open.
in his final moments, the victim scrawled a message on the floor
So is that supposed to be blood, but they had to censor it? Oh no, it's ink.
from this upset bottle. A Russian word. So the victim was a Russian man then, and the letters are well formed, suggesting he was compos mentis at the time. This is a most extraordinary script, and evidently not penned by the same hand as this message. In fact, I deduce it was written by someone of a different nationality. This paper seal was placed just prior to the incident by the victim himself.
The victims? What?
Well, what have we here?
Who are you, and what do you think you're doing here?
No one must touch before maritime police come. We must wait.
That won't be necessary. You see, in less than 5 seconds from now, I will reveal the killer to you.
What? Don't be absurd. This is murder, and it can be locked from inside.
And the cabin was busted open! Dude! What are they talking about not disturbed?
Culprit is in there.
The thing's clearly been damaged.
Who are you, and where have you come from?
A great British consultant detective, the only one in the world. Sherlock Holmes. I presume you must have heard of me.
No. My head is throbbing. Are we being accused of murder again? Alright, before I continue, multiple things I have to take care of at the very beginning of the stream. So I'm going to go take care of the barking dog. Sorry, I thought the microphone was unmuted. But god damn it, we're being accused of murder again. By the way, the barking dog's been taken care of. Ah, what the? Why am I in handcuffs? So, you wake up now, We had to drag you out of the wardrobe. I do not believe how you could not wake up. You are truly cold. You are true cold-blooded man. You found me then. Duh, we found you, and now you pay. Criminal. How long are you hiding in that tiny wardrobe? Sorry. Now you have been found. It is time to admit your crimes. Unless you want to find out how cold the ocean is, No! I'll tell you everything! There's only one thing I'd like to know from you. Isn't that... Aye. Why did you do it? Why did you take his life? Miss Susato? Wait, what did you just say? Take his life? Where is he? Where's Kazuma? Ha! You pretend you do not know? You are a wolf in sheep's pelt. You are the killer! Do not try to make excuses! What? Kazuma-sama was... Kazuma-sama... Oh! Wow. No, it wasn't! Look at it! It was not bolted shut from the inside. It was clearly busted open. God! Please, do not try to tell us you were doing, do not try to tell us you were doing this terrible thing in your sleep. Kazuma's dead? But he can't be. And these handcuffs, surely you don't think I have to know. Why did you take Kazuma-sama's life? Answer me, please. No. No! You know, I just realized I'm forgetting something. Recording. And Discord. Okay. So, for those watching this on YouTube, actually, you know what I might do? I might actually download the archive stream and just kind of edit it into the beginning of this. I might do that. I'm not entirely sure. I may forget to do that. But for those watching on YouTube, Kazuma's dead, and we have been accused of his murder. Actually, you know what? Considering that there were 2 cutscenes before all this happened, I think I am going to just edit it into this recording or whatever. It was just 2 short weeks ago. Are you sure about this? Won't we get in trouble? Ha 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 ha! Don't you find it fun being a stowaway? Besides, how else could you come to England with me to study? It was really something else when they brought your luggage in here earlier, though. The way that Russian crewman just tossed your traveling case onto the floor. I thought I was going to die. Yes, I still can't quite believe that. I really didn't think you'd be able to fit inside my trunk. You must be even less of a man than you look. Hey! Honestly, I thought I had broken every bone in my body. Well, it's about 50 days until we dock in Great Britain. 50 days? Really? Well, I guess, back then ships really were not that fast. Then again, like, the trip from, Britain to the U.S. initially was apparently incredibly long, to the point where no one, thought they would live long enough to see another shore. But if you confine yourself to my cabin here, I don't expect anyone will discover you. For 50 days, though? I hope not. I get the feeling those Russians wouldn't be very forgiving of a stowaway. They're a sturdy bunch, that's for sure. What I want to know is, why do we need to keep it a secret from the young lady? From our faithful judicial assistant Mikotoba, you mean? From your close friend, more to the point. Surely we could confide in her, couldn't we? I don't believe she'd give me away. No, but if she knew what we'd done, that would make her guilty by association. It's best that only you and I know about this. I suppose so. Anyway, it's about the time that the steward is supposed to come and clean the cabin. I know it's cramped, but you'd better get in there. I think it won't be long. It won't be long. And anyway, compared to the hiding inside my traveling case, it'll be a breeze. Yes, but what if the steward decides to open the wardrobe for some reason? Then I'll be in for it. Stop worrying. I tell you what, why don't you write keep out or something on this piece of paper? What? Then I can stick it over the wardrobe doors since you're inside. I don't know. 50 days stuck in one cabin? How the fuck do you do that, though? We've only been at sea for about 15 days. How can this have happened? We were supposed to be going on this adventure to England together. We leave you at next port. Stay quiet until then. Don't make more trouble for yourself. Murderer! No! I'm not a murderer! Duh, you said before. You said you admit everything about... What the fuck did you say? That's not right. I mean, yes, I did stow away on the ship, but... Murdering my best friend? No one else could have done it. Admit the truth. So, yes, someone else could have done it! The door was busted down! Do you not see it? How does no one else see this? Oh, I feel like I'm going mad. Susato-san? Please, tell me what happened. I need to know. Very well. But there is something I would like to ask of you, too. Those eyes. She looks like she's ready to destroy me. This nightmare is getting worse by the minute. I suppose all I can do is try to find out what really happened. Kazuma's death. He really has been killed, hasn't he? This isn't just a bad dream? And these handcuffs. They think I did it? They think I'm Kazuma's killer? When they found him, the cabin was locked from the inside. So they busted it down. I guess that explains it. There's no access to the cabin via a porthole window, and the bolt on the door can't be operated from outside. In other words, after the crime, the culprit couldn't have escaped through these walls. I'm not sure about that. Or to put it another way, the culprit can only have been somebody inside this cabin. Or do you have some other explanation? This is impossible. How did he die then? What happened exactly? Are you still going to deny the charge, even despite the circumstances? Please, Susato-san, you have to tell me! The cause of death is still undetermined. They don't know how he died? The ship's doctor is examining the body, but of course, he has no post-mortem analysis experience. I don't suppose we shall learn more until an expert has been consulted at our next port of call. So presumably that means there were no obvious external signs of injury then. That's true, yes. About the incident. Can't anyone tell me what actually happened here in this cabin? I don't understand it. Why would anyone want to kill Kazuma? Presumably that's something you know the answer to better than anyone. Please. Whatever you say. You were here in the cabin after all. Well, yes, I was, but... Well, obviously it had to have been one of the Russian crewmates because Kazuma does not speak Russian! He would always wake before dawn and do his training first thing in the morning. I was waiting outside his cabin, as I have every day so far on this voyage. But this morning, he did not come. I could sense that he wouldn't. Does that mean he was already dead when Susato-san arrived at his cabin door? I wonder. I knocked, but there was no reply. Then I started to become worried, so I went to find a member of the crew. The crewman forced the door open, and when we managed to get inside, there was Kazuma-san, collapsed on the floor. Also, the ink seems to be pretty far away. How did that thing get undone? I mean, how did that thing wind up on the floor? Because the way he's laid down would suggest that he was not at his desk. But at the same time, I can't imagine him being able... I mean, like, I can't imagine that ink will have fallen down without him or anyone being near that desk. I had no idea anything had happened. I must have been asleep in the wardrobe somehow. I wish it wasn't the case, but that's just very hard to believe. This is all very hard to believe for me too, trust me. Now I've told you everything that I know. So it's my turn to ask you a question. Yes, alright. My head feels so heavy. It's still throbbing like anything. Why are you even on board this ship, Naruhodo-san? You said something before about being a stowaway, didn't you? Oh, yes. I'm afraid that's true. It's 2 weeks since we left Japan now, and I've been shut up in this cabin the entire time. I had no idea. But how could you have occupied Kazuma-sama's cabin for so long without him noticing? No, no, no! That would have been impossible, obviously. Yes, of course. Kazuma invited me. He wanted us to go to England together. He actually asked you? But why? I'm afraid I don't really know the reason myself. I don't understand. Kazuma, why do you want this? What's the real reason? Why go to such extreme lengths to smuggle me to England with you? It's an idea that's been on my mind ever since the end of that incredible trial. I think I told you then, didn't I? That I ought to become a lawyer yourself. That you ought to become a lawyer yourself? Well, yes, you did say that, but I didn't think you were serious. You have a talent for it. I can assure you of that. But I've never really thought about becoming a lawyer. Well, that's something you can decide for yourself. London is at the spearhead of cultural development, the center of the world in many ways. There can't be any harm in seeing such an important place with your own eyes, can there? Well, no, definitely not. But on a personal level, if you were to become a lawyer, then what? Nothing. Forget it. Kazuma-sama he was always saying the same thing. That he wanted to change the Japanese legal system. Perhaps he thought that he could do that with you. Yes, maybe. But something's still bothering me a little. The look in his eyes then. It was darker than I've ever seen it before. Susato-san, I'm sorry that we kept it a secret from you, my stowing away on the ship, I mean. If I know Kazuma-sama, I expect he was trying to protect me, to avoid me from becoming guilty by association. That's exactly right, yes. Word perfect, in fact. If you're not the culprit, then tell me. What happened last night here in this cabin? Well, the thing is, I don't really remember. Kazuma brought me something to eat, just like he always did. And then I got myself into that wardrobe over there, just like I always did. After that, I fell asleep. Well, yes. So deeply that you didn't even stir when Kazuma-sama was killed? Well, yes. I know it sounds unbelievable, really, I do, but it's the truth. If only I'd woken up, then perhaps I wouldn't be in this predicament. And for some reason, my head's still throbbing like anything. Really? Is something wrong? Oh, no, it's... Please, forget it. Susato-san, you have to believe me. I didn't do it! I really don't want to doubt you. But the trouble is, there is no one else who could possibly have done this. Neither me nor Kazuma spoke Russian. Well, me as in Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Neither Ryunosuke nor Kazuma could have written that. I can't take this. Don't try to go anywhere. You're the perpetrator of this crime. You can't leave. I can't allow that to happen. I'm sorry. But Kazuma was killed right under my nose here, and I didn't do anything to stop it. And now I'm supposed to just sit around, my hands tied, while whoever did this walks free? No! I can't allow that to happen. Well, what do you propose to do then? I'm going to investigate. I'm going to find out exactly what happened here. I'm going to work out who took Kazuma's life, and how and why they took it. So I'm sorry, but you're going to have to excuse me. Hiya! What the... That was a Susato takedown. Susato what? What martial art form is that? I'm going to need you to prove it. Sorry? Prove it? Yes, your innocence. I need evidence. But how am I supposed to... Do we have anything in the court record yet? Have you forgotten already what you achieved just a few weeks ago? You successfully defended yourself in a court of law. Ah, I see. She's expecting me to present some conclusive evidence. I have to get Susato-san to believe me. I'll show her some evidence right now that proves I'm not guilty of this awful crime. It says, keep out in Japanese, though I'm not sure the Russian crew could actually read it.
Yes!
Tell me, when was I discovered in this in the wardrobe before? Was this piece of paper stuck over the doors? Oh, yes it was. I remember clearly. I thought so. Kazuma always put it in place whenever I went to sleep in there. Just in case the cabin steward or another crew member decided to look inside. So naturally, he did the same last night as well. Ah! Yes, of course! The gentleman who discovered you peeled that sign from the wardrobe doors before he opened them. But if I were truly the culprit, I couldn't have climbed back inside the wardrobe and stuck this on the outside of the doors on my own. Yes, that's quite true. In other words, it's impossible that I killed Kazuma. Well, even if you are sprawled hopelessly on the floor, I can see why Kazuma-sama thought so highly of you. This is starting to get a little disorienting. Thank you, Susato-san. Now, do you think perhaps you could help me up? Well, in the light of that evidence, I don't see any reason why I should stop you from investigating in here, at least. Thank you. So, you finally believe me? I'm sorry. No. What? I'm not sure yet. I can't rule out the possibility that you used some sort of conjuring trick. Hey, I just noticed that thing. Where does that... I would assume you could use that to, like, talk to other people in other rooms? Or at the very least, someone in... I don't know, like, call for room service or something? That pipe... Or is that literally just there for ventilation? For now, I suggest you investigate as thoroughly as possible in here. I'll do the same. Alright, let's get to work, Susato-san. Please, don't misunderstand me. I still have my doubts. Oh. I shall be watching you to make sure you do nothing that might disturb the crime scene. I wouldn't want you using your conjuring tricks to destroy evidence, for example. Wouldn't that be telekinesis? Well, anyway, I should make a start on investigating in here. Examine everything I can. Kazuma, I swear, I will avenge your death. Alright, examine. Actually, hold up. Let me see here. Didn't Kazuma say something about, like, his sword, how he, like, never, like, leaves it anywhere? A certified lawyer, my best friend, is one way was taken from this world. What is this sword doing all the way over here, away from his body? That's Kazuma-sama's precious sword. He never went anywhere without it. Yes, he was always saying that. A Japanese man's katana is a soul. I believe he had to work very hard to convince the government to allow him to bring it on this trip. I suppose that shows just how important it was to him, which makes me wonder why it's so far away from his body. And now he's gone, but I'm not ready to let his spirit go just yet. Oh dear, that won't do. What? Oh, what's the matter, Susato-san? Whenever I'm examining things, I always find myself so focused I forget to look around properly. Ah yes, that's not good. I don't suppose you're as foolish as me in that regard, are you, Naruhodo-san? What? Oh! It's just telling me that I can, like, look at it from different angles. Now let's investigate all corners of this cabin. Okay, then. Yes! Let's do that! I suppose my field of vision has been rather small until now. What the fuck is this? That's my dinner from last night. A roast chicken. It was really tasty. Yes, it was very delicious, wasn't it? But, did you eat it on the floor here? I'm not a dog, Susato-san. I ate at the table, of course. Which begs the question of when and how the plate ended up on the floor. But Kazuma-sama didn't like chicken at all, did he? No, that's right. So he didn't touch it. Which meant all the more for me. Oh no! Does that mean poor Kazuma-sama spent his last night on this earth with an empty belly? Unfortunately, it's just too horrible. Now I suddenly have a guilty conscience and an achy stomach. Hey, what do you have to say? Perhaps I should see what this Russian crewman makes of the scene of the crime. Excuse me. What? I was wondering how it's going. The investigation, I mean. Grandmother told me Japanese people do not make jokes, but it is not true. I see. Sorry? The criminal asking investigator for information about his crime? Very funny. Oh, it wasn't supposed to be a joke. I get the feeling he did it. He is very quick to be accusing me. He's very quick to call me a criminal. He doesn't appear to be laughing either. He's convinced you're guilty. He might have useful information, though. I have to keep trying. So, last night, did you notice anything out of the ordinary at all? That seemed to get a reaction out of him, I guess. Yet! Of course not! Now back to the corner of the room and make silent! I say no more to you! Did I hit a nerve? Just for a minute there, he seemed a little flustered. He did it! Seigi, the Japanese word for justice. The brushstrokes are straight and true, just like Kazuma. Yes, his calligraphy always was a reflection of his heart. Yet can you really look at those characters without feeling shame, knowing who drew them so thoughtfully? Of course I can! I mean, I'm innocent, so why shouldn't I be able to? Even though you stowed away on the ship? Now you're going to bring that up, are you? I can't win. So, okay, I can't bring that up. Okay, now I can bring it up. No, I can bring up the broken tea thing. What do you think this is? It looks like a broken piece of glassware. Whatever the thing was, it appears to have broken clean in two. Clean in two? Oh, I just noticed a knife on the floor. It looks like a cute little Netsuke fastener from a kimono outfit. I'm not sure that sounds like Kazuma. He wouldn't have secretly carried a cute little trinket like this around with him, would he? And the mark beside it. What is it, I wonder? It has a sort of brick-like hue. Yes, you're right. It is the color of brick, isn't it? Maybe? I don't know. Even though I don't see anything of the same color anywhere else in the cabin. So I can't look at the knife specifically. Just gonna skip past all this. That's a very large traveling case, isn't it? Yes, it carries a lot of memories for me. Memories? What do you mean? Well, that's actually how I stowed away on this vessel. I was brought on board inside that case. Ah yes, I see it says "this way up" in Japanese. Which in hindsight, I should have realized the foreign crewman wouldn't be able to read. I was turned over and over and over, and then I was tossed on the floor in here. Oh dear, being a stowaway isn't as romantic as it sounds. Well, it was less painful than Susato's takedown. The books have fallen over on the shelf. Look, they've all toppled the same way. And what's this? A statue of some god of the sea? Although he's fallen over as well. Yes, it's almost as if the whole shelf has been ransacked and everything mown down at once. I wonder if perhaps it was Kama-san's doing his morning sword training, do you think? I'd imagine those things would be cut, not knocked over. I seriously doubt it. Then perhaps it was you, Naruhodo-san, in a fit of rage. I wouldn't have bothered leaving the wardrobe just to mess up a few books and a statue. Could the way these things have been thrown about have anything to do with the case? I wonder. Well, I'll just set everything straight again. I don't like to see a mess. Okay. That doesn't really reveal anything to me. These are the rules of passage from travel aboard the SS Buria. It's essentially a list of requests from the captain to all passengers on board. Passengers must not keep weapons or other dangerous objects in their cabins. Pets are also strictly forbidden. What? Why are you staring at me? Oh, sorry. I was just thinking. Are you more of a dangerous object or a pet? I can't decide. Well, one thing's for sure. Either way, I wasn't supposed to be in here. Oh! That's the traveling case again, not the ink itself. Did Kazuma write that before he died? It looks like it's written in ink. He must have knocked the ink pot over from the desk when he collapsed on the floor. Then I suppose he wrote this message by dipping his finger in the spillage? Poor Kazuma-sama. No doubt he was in terrible pain. It's almost unbearable to imagine. I suppose he was trying to leave some kind of a clue in his final moments. Was he? I'm sorry, partner, but I can't read your writing. I don't think that's Japanese, Naruhodo-san. What? Then what language is it? It pains me to admit it, but I don't know. It's not a foreign script I'm familiar with. What does it mean, I wonder? This is where dear Kazuma-sama would have sat whenever he was writing. London Diary. Poor Kazuma. He didn't even make it to his destination. It looks as though the last entry is incomplete. Which means... Okay, so he was at his desk. He was in the middle of writing it when the incident happened. Okay, so that explains why the ink is on the floor. But why is the mess on the other side of the room? Let's see what it says. It could be a valuable clue. Hi-ya! That's out of the question. What? Kazuma-sama may have departed this world, but you must not read his private thoughts. But what if it's something important? Something relevant to the case? Alright, I won't read it. Poor Kazuma-sama. I don't like prying into people's personal matters either. But in this case, isn't the need for clues more important? Alright, let's look over here now. It's some 2 weeks since we set sail from Japan. Have you really been living in that wardrobe the entire time, Naruhodo-san? I think living isn't quite the right description. Oh, no, I suppose not. Although it must have been rather exciting, making this voyage in your own secret hideout. The trouble was, I never knew when a member of the crew might come in. So yes, I did basically have to live in the wardrobe. And last night was no exception. But because of that, you had no idea what was happening out here in the cabin. No, sadly not. This is... yes, it's a bell cord contraption. What do you mean, contraption? I read about it in a book I was studying that talked about life in Great Britain. Large households often have bell cords like this, which you can pull to ring a bell to summon servants. Really? That sounds almost magical. Shall we give it a little try? Yes! In the interest of cultural research, obviously. I like her. I suppose nobody comes for lowly Japanese people. No, I'm sure it's just that everyone is busy, that's all. I think that's some kind of opening for a ventilator. Yeah, now that I think about it, what is the point of that thing right there? Those pipes on the wall, the vents right there. A hole through which fresh air can circulate into the cabin. Isn't that a little odd? What do you mean? Well, this ventilator, if that's what it is, looks like it must connect to the next door cabin. Yes, it would appear to. You're right. But if its purpose is to allow fresh air into the room, surely it should be connected to the outside. That's true. Perhaps it's so that rain and spray don't find their way in when the seas are rough or something like that. I suppose maybe that's it. What in the fuck? When did you get there? Who's that? He wasn't there a minute ago. As far as I can tell, it looks like he might be European. Oh, how did he... You've noticed the man too, have you? I have no idea who he is or how he got in here, but he looks suspicious and tall. Suspiciously tall. Naruhodo-san, don't tell me. Do you really not know who that is? Well, no. I don't have any foreign friends or acquaintances at all. He doesn't look like a member of the crew. There's something very unusual about him. And is he investigating Kazuma's desk, or is he just playing on it? I can't tell. Well, in that case, we simply must talk with him. Am I just imagining it, or does Susato-san look almost uncontrollably excited? By the way, I expect that you've noticed already, but just in case, if you press A on people when they're in the crosshairs, you can converse with them. Alright then, I'll get that suspiciously tall gentleman in my sights and see what he has to say for himself. Oh, please do. Excuse me. Excuse me, do you have a moment? Shh! This is a critical point in my investigation. Maybe I should leave him alone. He seems a little unfriendly. Yes, perhaps that would be for the best. Greetings! I hope I haven't kept you long. Arrgh! What exactly were you doing on Kazuma's desk just now? Ah, I see. Fascinating. Sorry? What do you see? It feels like he's looking right through me. Oh yes, everything is clear now. The train of reasoning has run its course. My deductions have crystallized. You have been in Afghanistan, I perceive. Just recently returned, if I'm not mistaken. Oh. I'm just gonna... Oh, God help anyone in that country who needs it. Sorry, what? And now, whilst venturing towards foreign climes, you find yourself in a most troubling predicament. Oh! Well, that's true at least. But how? How the deuce do I know that, perhaps? It was really a most elementary deduction, hardly worth explaining. Have you perhaps managed to deduce anything else? But of course, a great many things. There is no mystery, my dear madam. For example, you have fled your native land of Russia, being as you are a merciless revolutionary. You leave 16 victims of assassination in your wake, and you now travel to England to blow up the Crystal Tower. And when the beridden occupant of this very cabin discovered your identity, you ended his life too. Yes, I believe that summarizes the facts beautifully. No need to hide the truth now. Nothing deceives these eyes. Just to be clear, you are talking about me, are you? Certainly I am. Do you see another in this cabin who fits the bill? A Russian assassin with 16 victims to his name? I don't even see one person who fits the bill. So it's true. It was you who did this to Kazuma-sama. What? And you're plotting a revolution too! It's shameful behavior, Naruhodo-san. Absolutely wicked. No, listen, there's no way I... Hi-ya! Now explain yourself! Tell me everything! This is ridiculous! How could you do it? For pity's sake, open your eyes! I'm not a Russian revolutionary, obviously! Oh, forgive me. And as for you, what kind of deduction was that? You were just saying the first thing that came into your head. Ah, but was I not right? No! Whilst venturing towards foreign climes, you do find yourself in a most troubling predicament, do you not? Well, yes, maybe. Ha! There you have it! See? What do you make of that? Well, to be honest, this ship is en route to England, and I'm in handcuffs at the scene of a murder. So, I'm not really sure you could call it deduction. It's more plain observation. Indeed! An observation, my dear boy. It's the basis of all deduction. My method is founded upon the observation of trifles. You see? I'm sorry about that weird read. I announce my findings with a brassy certitude. And more often than not, I'm right. Ah. I don't think you introduced yourself. Ah, my apologies. How remiss of me. I am none other than the greatest detective of the century, known to man and woman the world over. The inimitable... I'm sorry, I'm trying to pronounce that word. Inimitatable Sherlock Sholmes! Yes, very inimitatable. You see, this is a completely different character from that other character who is in the public domain and not in the public domain at the same time, somehow. So, it's really you? The actual Sherlock Sholmes? The very same. The inimitatable, actual Sherlock Sholmes. I think that's actually kind of an in-joke. Do you know this man, Susato-san? The most famous detective in the world, Naruhodo-san? Of course I do. There's nobody who hasn't heard of him. What planet have I been living on, then? We must ask him what he's deduced. He will have worked out the entire case already, I'm sure. Really? Why do I feel uneasy about this? I'm gonna continue looking around. Can I look, like, at the wall? No? The only thing left is the bed, and I investigated thoroughly, but Alright, I guess I have to talk to him. Great detective. So, you're a great detective, are you? Sorry, what was your name again? Indeed, I am none other than the one and only Sherlock Sholmes. Oh, I see. You're German. Herlock, was it? No. I have no her. I mean, I have hair. I'm sorry. No. I have no hair. I mean, I have hair. Please call me Sholmes. You can read all about... I'm sorry. You can read all about my exploits in this exciting London publication. Oh yes, Wren's magazine, full of wonderful short stories and interest articles from Great Britain. I never miss an issue. I have it sent from England especially. Ah yes, here it is. The Adventures of Sherlock Sholmes. So, you're the protagonist in a series of short stories then? Indeed I am! And you've read so many of your own stories, you've started to think you really are a detective. Make no mistakes, I am not the poor, deluded fellow you take me for. Your inference is backward. Backward? My trusty biographer records my great detecting achievements and chronicles them in the magazine. You have a biographer, do you? Doesn't everyone? Mine goes by the name of Dr. Wilson, presently keeping shop in London. Dr. Wilson? I must say, thanks to that publication, I've been fantastically busy of late. Why, this very moment I am returning from Asia, having solved the mystery of a cursed royal crown. Really? I can't work out whether I should take this man seriously or not. Deduction, you see, is to me a science. Logical reasoning in its purest form. A science? Really? The astute observer notices even the most subtle of reactions in his subject. A furtive glance, a twitch of a muscle, a slight inclination of posture, fingernails, arm sleeves, furrows in the skin, all these things are data. Right. And the trained logician makes deductions from this data in the blink of an eye. The ultimate conclusion is, without fail, the truth! As I demonstrated only a few short moments ago. How can he look me in the eye and claim that? So you see, I have a turn both for observation and for deduction and fame. That is what makes me the one and only Herlock Sholmes. Kazuma's death. Have you managed to deduce anything about this particular case yet? Have I managed to deduce anything, my dear fellow? Who do you suppose discovered the culprit in his most cunning hiding place? That's right. It was none other than the great detective before you now, Mr. Herlock Sholmes. I see. In other words, I'm in these now because of him. When I became anxious about Kazuma-sama this morning, I summoned all of the crew members to force his cabin door open. And I concealed myself among their numbers, gaining entry to the scene of the crime. Yes, luckily for everyone, the great detective, Herlock Sholmes, was on board. And the handcuffs seem to be an excellent fit for Mr. Naruhodo. Arg! The very moment I laid eyes on the scene, two facts were immediately apparent to me. Oh really? Two facts, you say? Two facts. Mr. Sholmes, tell us please, what two facts were apparent to you when you came into this cabin this morning? Ah yes, but first, let us be precise. The two facts in question were immediately apparent to me. Yes, I understand, but what were they? Allow me to elucidate. The two facts that I deduced from a mere momentary glance at the scene of the crime were as follows. Number one, the cabin was locked from within, rendering escape of the culprit out of the question. Number two, the victim was Russian and killed following a dispute with an acquaintance. Hold on, Mr. Sholmes. What made you think the victim was Russian? Observe the dying message left by the victim on the floor. That is Russian. That is the Russian word for wardrobe. Do you really think Kazuma-sama could have left a dying message in Russian? In their final moments, many find their native tongue filling their head. For this young man, Russian. Kazuma was Russian, was he? Initially, I considered garderobe may be the same name as of the killer, a certain Robert God, perhaps. But in the interest of thoroughness, I decided it would be wrong not to look inside the wardrobe there at least, where you found Mr. Naruhodo sleeping soundly. Quite so! I found you! The renowned Russian revolutionary killer! Why is that I'm Russian too? I observed that you were wearing the same attire as the victim. In other words, you were acquainted. And as my memory serves, that outfit is the traditional dress of the Russian people. No, it is. I don't believe it is. Our school uniforms are the traditional dress of the Russian people? I had no idea. And I had no idea a detective could get something so wrong. I took a photograph of the victim and the message, that I might analyze it for possible hidden details. This was taken immediately after the young man was discovered. I'm sorry. I dropped the show. I thought it was Ryunosuke who was talking. This was taken immediately after the young man was discovered, before the body was removed. Yes, Kazuma had already been taken away when I woke up. This is the first time I've actually seen him like this. Are you alright, Mr. Naruhodo? Oh, yes, thank you. The photograph of the crime scene has been entered into the court record. Can I ask you something, Mr. Sholmes? What, pray? You mentioned Russia before as well, didn't you? You know, when you say I was a fearsome revolutionary fleeing from Russia and all that? Ah, yes, the train of reasoning that led me to the truth. Would you mind explaining that train of reasoning to me, do you think? I have no idea how to pronounce that. Certainly, if it interests you. How many times? I'm not Russian, and I don't speak Russian. Your deduction just now. Can we talk about your deduction before? The thing that you concluded about me, I mean? Ah, the now famously accurate, troubling predicament you find yourself in? Actually, it was the other detail that I was more hoping to discuss. You know, the merciless Russian revolutionary and assassin of 16 part? Ah, yes, the more sordid details. It was a fairly commonplace deduction. Here we have this morning's paper. The main headline reads, Revolutionary villain Bolshevik flees Russia via Shanghai. This vessel made a port call at Shanghai yesterday, and last night the young Russian was murdered. Since when was Kazuma a Russian? It sounds like Mr. Sholmes has concluded he was Russian because of what Kazuma-sama wrote on the floor. It was a simple act of reasoning to realize that the culprit of this crime was the same merciless revolutionary. One who would kill the very man who helped him escape after his true identity was discovered. Yes, you! Villain Bolshevik! No. How could it be me? I don't look anything like this man. Just look at his face. Well, you are a fearsome revolutionary after all. Therefore, you have no doubt learned to revolutionize your appearance as well. Please. And might I add, your name does not appear to be on the ship's passenger list. Need I say more? Well, that's because I'm a stowaway. What about the other details? The 16 victims of assassination and blowing up the Crystal Tower? Oh yes, the journalist clearly interviewed the man and printed all those particulars in this article. The deeds the man had perpetrated thus far and those he is plotting. Yes, everything about this revolutionary Bolshevik was included. There can be no mistake. Do revolutionaries usually agree to interviews with newspaper reporters? I wonder. And what about the part where you said I was just returning from Afghanistan? Again, may God help the people who need help in that country. Also, quite clearly stated here in the article. Bolshevik has recently returned after a period of subservious activities in a war-torn region of Afghanistan. Where even is it anyway? This Afghanistan place. One more time. Please, dear God, help the people who really desperately need... I saw people clinging to the wheels of an airplane. That's not good. Here, take the paper for yourself, as a little memento of this great deduction. Oh, thank you. I've absorbed all that is of interest to me within its pages, but I see no rubbish bin nearby. An article on the front page of a Russian newspaper. The headline reads, Revolutionary villain Bolshevik flees Russia via Shanghai. And you may find the article on the back page of interest as well. On the back? Cast your eye over it sometime if the interest takes you, though you may need someone to interpret. I'm going to do that right now, actually. I have no idea how to read this, but I see a woman there. This is interesting. Have you found something relevant, Naruhodo-san? Well, no. I mean, it looks like it might be interesting. Looks like she's some kind of ballet dancer. I can't read a single word, I'm afraid. No, nor can I. But look at this picture. Perhaps it's about a beautiful young Russian princess, do you think? She is very pretty, isn't she? I suppose you enjoy articles like this, do you? I don't know. I can't make any sense of it. Ah, I'm glad you've noticed this article. Ah! Allow me to give you a short summary of its contents. Oh, thank you. He pops up everywhere, this Mr. Sholmes. It's about the disappearance of a young lady last night. Renowned prima ballerina of the Novovich Ballet disappears from Shanghai. During a performance in Shanghai, the famous dancer was reported missing. I think I've already figured something out, based on the clues I have and something I saw in the trailers. The trailers showed someone wearing Russian garb with long blonde hair that they were apparently trying to hide. So, yeah, I think she is the dangerous revolutionary. She is, of course, the talented young Nikolai Pavlova. Why are Russian names so hard to remember? It would appear the woman was in costume when she was found to be missing from her dressing room. Okay. Wearing the diamond tiara you see pictured, which is worth some 20,000 rubles. Oh, how much is 20,000 rubles? I have no idea, but I'm quite sure it must be an unbelievable sum of money. Hold on, do I have my phone on me? I do not, but I do have a tablet. 1 second. I'm actually gonna look that up. One second. What the? Seriously? That doesn't seem right. It says here $271, which is expensive, but my Switch costs more than that. The thing I'm playing this on costs more than that. Hold on, I gotta account for inflation here. I'm gonna be using a US inflation calculator, but hopefully it works. 1913. I don't. Hold on. What year does it take place? In the dawn of the 20th century. So 1913 is about right. Okay. $7,473.11 roughly. When you convert it to American dollars with inflation. Again, very expensive. But unless I'm mistaken, that's not a lot. So either I did something terribly wrong in my calculations, or that's a cheap piece of crap. The tiara is the property of Novovich Ballet. It would seem that the director is beside herself with worry. Yes, I'm not surprised. The company is most anxious to recover both Miss Pavlova and the valuable tiara. You know what? I don't know how much tiaras actually go for. Maybe they do normally go for about 7,500. I don't know. They've requested international assistance at all ports with sailings to Great Britain. Could this be another case of a Russian fleeing his or her country? It does seem to be the Russian thing to do. I'm not even going to dignify that with a response, Mr. Naruhodo. It's all written in Russian. I couldn't hope to read it. But I suppose it wouldn't hurt just to glance at the article. Maybe there might be a picture or two. What you were investigating? Before we started talking, you were examining Kazuma-sama's desk, weren't you? Kazuma? Yes, the victim. Did you notice anything useful? Anything at all? Observe for a moment the desktop of the victim. We see that the victim was engaged in penning some text. London diary. Kazuma was keeping notes of the trip. But I don't think you should read his private writings. It could upset people. Tragic! And something you ought to perhaps elucidate before the act of reading. You mean you've read it already? It is my business to know what other people do. It is my business to know what other people do not. Yes, believe it or not, I know a smattering of Japanese. Well, you're about to know what Susato takedown is. And she's not going to do it. Susato-san, aren't you going to throw the detective with one of your trademark takedowns? I'm sorry, Naruhodo-san. What on earth do you mean? Life is so unfair. Anyway, to return to the matter at hand, namely, this diary belonging to the victim, it would appear the final sentence is incomplete, as if the author were cut short. Tell me, what is the nature of the writing? Pray be precise as to details. Oh, but I thought you knew Japanese. A smattering, dear boy, a smattering. Sayonara, bonsai, migado, naru nado. I trust you're suitably impressed. But this diary is littered with complicated-looking characters, of which I can read precisely none. Ha 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 ha! So what was all that showing off before then? If you would be so kind as to show me, I would be happy to read it to you, Mr. Sholmes. I'm much obliged, my dear madame. The final entry here is Kazuma-sama's diary consists of just two short sentences. The first reads, 1:23 a.m. I can hear a faint whistling sound. A whistling sound? These are very deep waters. Pray go on. The second sentence reads, 1:35 a.m. What looks like some sort of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill. Was he bitten by a snake? What on earth does that mean? I have no idea. I've never heard of that expression before. The ventilator grill, you say? The man was presumably referring to the lattice there on the wall, which connects to the adjoining cabin. Yes, the adjoining cabin. Kazuma's diary has been entered into the court record. And now we know what it says. So, I believe I've given you enough to consider for the time being, at least. Ah, do you have somewhere to go? As it happens, the victim's writing in his diary have piqued my interest. The matter warrants further investigation, I believe, and if I am still too long, the seasickness takes hold. Oh, I suppose you're thinking of investigating the cabin next door, which the ventilator connects to? Great detectives are a curious breed. Our minds rebel at stagnation. We crave mental exaltation. So yes, I intend to investigate. Hence the truth will become clear soon enough. Do you think perhaps that we could go with you? No. That would be somewhat complicated. What? But why? A simple glance at your wrist should reveal the answer. Oh, these. After all, you're the prime suspect in this matter. No? There's no point in trying to turn it into a question. You're the one who decided I was the culprit in the first place. Whatever do you mean? I have no recollection of naming you as the culprit at any point. You must be joking! You just said it only a moment ago! Dear me, you are clearly misguided. I would have no cause to say such a thing. Hold on, did he actually say that? How far back can I go? Not that far, actually. Is my... Yeah. Well, actually, Mr. Sholmes, I did hear you say that too. You're quite sure? Well, that's very strange. I wouldn't have said you had the face of a criminal, you know. Not really. So what were you looking at my knees before? Some great detective you are. Well, anyway, that was then and this is now. What do you mean? What I mean, sir, is this. If you are the culprit, then you must play the part more convincingly. Roll over and accept your fate. Ha 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 ha! Now he's just being plain rude. And off he goes, having just laughed in my face. His sense of humor is as twisted as his name. Naruhodo-san, what are you just standing there for? We must go and investigate the cabin next door as well. Aren't you forgetting something? What about these? There's no way I can... Hi-ya! After Kazuma-sama spent his dying moments struggling to leave us a clue, you're willing to give up? You're just going to roll over and accept your fate? Ugh. As if you gave me any choice in the rolling over part. I think we still have some investigation to finish off in here first, don't we? We do? Let's carry on examining what we can in this cabin while we wait for a chance to slip next door. Good idea! The situation doesn't look good for me, but there are still things I can do to help myself. And I owe it to Kazuma to do everything I can to find a way out of this, and bring the real culprit to justice. What is this? Doesn't want to tell me. There's nothing on this table at all. The plate and cutlery are all over the floor for some reason. Yes, it's strange. Last night when I went to sleep, I'm sure everything was still... No, wait a minute. What is it? That's funny. I can't seem to remember anything about what happened after dinner at all. So then perhaps you are responsible for what happened to Kazuma-sama? No, no, no! Already checked that. What is there left to check? You again? Excuse me. What? I was wondering if I could ask you a favor. Would you mind if I investigated a little outside? Grandmother told me Japanese people do not make jokes. But it's not true, I see. Sorry? The criminal asking prison guard to help him escape? Very funny. We're in the middle of the sea. There's no chance of me escaping. Yet! You stay in this cabin until next port. Then it is up to Hong Kong police to decide what they do with you. You stay! Alright. There's no point in trying to appeal to this man's better nature, that's for sure. Oh yeah, the door itself. How did I not notice that? When I went for help and the crewman forced the door open, this bolt had been firmly closed. It's quite a small bolt and not particularly sturdy. And it just slides across to secure the door shut. Actually, now that I think about it, did she actually try to open it or did she just assume it was locked? How do we know that door was locked before the guy busted it down? But still, with the door bolted, there would be no way to get in or out of the cabin, that's for sure. It's no wonder everyone suspects me. When she glares at me like that, I feel tense all up and down my spine. I remember reading once in a detective novel, the culprit used a needle and thread to draw a bolt across from outside the room in a situation like this. Yes, that's a clever trick, isn't it? I'm an avid reader of detective stories myself. But the door of this cabin and its frame are made of metal, and they seal together perfectly. There would be no possibility of use that needle and thread trick here, I'm afraid. When she glares at me like that, I feel pins and needles all up and down my spine. Oh, look over there. The crewman, do you mean? He wasn't there before, was he? I'm pretty sure he's the policeman from the last case. Why don't we try talking to him? Probably because I'm likely to get yelled at again. But I suppose I could try. Is something wrong, Naruhodo-san? Oh, no, it's just that crewman standing by the door. I can't help feeling like I've seen him somewhere before. Oh yes, you're right. He does look familiar. Excuse me, sir. Yes? What can I do for you? I recognize that face, but it can't be. Yeah, that's him. It is! I didn't know you were here, Inspector Hasanaga. He's still in the same pose, despite the fact that he's not carrying around a cloth anymore. Hello again. What are you doing here? I think that should be my line. I was so stunned when I saw you, my heart stopped. Nearly stopped, I hope. I received from some special orders to go undercover as a member of the crew and board this ship. Again? You certainly seem to enjoy undercover work, Inspector. If there is anything I can do to help you, please ask. I never expected to see this man on board. But perhaps his presence can help me out of this hopeless situation. Special orders. So, what are your special orders this time, Inspector? Yes, and why are you dressed as a member of the crew? I'm so sorry. This is all my fault. I take full responsibility. For what? My orders were to act as Asagi-san's bodyguard. It was Minister of Justice Jigoku who pushed for this overseas study tour to go ahead. And he entrusted me with ensuring that Asagi-san reached Great Britain without being assassinated. Assassinated? How could that even have been a possibility? Well, I mean, he's dead, so I'm not sure. But these are complicated times. There are tensions between the world's greatest powers. Minister Jigoku said we should be prepared for all eventualities. This is incredible. I don't believe it. Kazuma-sama was assassinated? Obviously, we couldn't give Asagi-san a visible security escort. Which is why I'm undercover now, posing as one of the crew. I see. And I didn't take my eyes off him for the entire time we've been on board, from evening until night, every day. But I never imagined it would happen here, inside his own cabin, not here on the first-class deck. I failed miserably at my assignment, and Asagi-san is dead as a result. I'm a disgrace. All I can do is humbly apologize. Inspector. So if there's anything at all I can do to help now, just say the word. Permission to investigate. We're doing what we can to investigate Kazuma's death ourselves. I thought you might be. You didn't do it, did you? You're not the killer. Of course not! We'd really like to investigate the cabin next door. Yes, so we need to be allowed out of this cabin. I'm sorry, I thought Hazanaga was talking for some stupid reason. I'm sorry. What? You've been deemed a risk to the ship's safety. If you moved to even touch the handle of the cabin's door, that stormy-looking seaman there would surely snap your neck in two. I suppose I'm not just a stowaway now. They think I'm a murderer as well. Would it be possible to give me something to work with, do you think? I'm going to need something persuasive. What do you mean? If I had a solid reason why the next door cabin should be investigated, for example, I'd do everything I could to persuade the cabin to allow it. Really, I'd lay my life on the line if I had to. But I don't see how... I know how. There may be a way. What? Really? Think of how you tried to persuade me of your innocence, Naruto-san, by presenting me with a piece of evidence that you already had in your possession. Evidence? It's just the same as when you were in court. You must have done it many times during your trial. Simply select the present panel and choose some evidence that Inspector Hazanaga could use. So, evidence that would give us a viable reason to investigate the next door cabin, is it? Alright, yes, I think I might know what we can use. Let's see if I can present the detective with the evidence he needs to persuade the captain. What's that? It's Kazuma's diary. Just before he died, Kazuma-sama wrote something rather strange in his diary. Strange? In what way? He wrote what looks like some kind of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill. A speckled band? That is strange. Yes, we're still trying to work out what he meant by that. But what I'd like to know is... Don't tell me. The ventilator, is it? You're very astute, Inspector. That ventilator clearly joins to the next door cabin. That's right. So if we can investigate in there, we might be we might be able to work out what the speckled band was. All right then. I can't leave this cabin at the moment. I'm stuck here until we arrive at the next port. The captain has given me strict orders to guard the scene of the crime, you see. I'll have to entrust the investigation to you. Really? You willing to do that? Yes, as long as you don't leave the first-class cabin area. I'm afraid I can't remove those handcuffs, though. But what about the captain? Aren't you going against his direct orders? I'm I'm a man of my word. And I promise you that I'll lay my life on the line if that's what it takes to convince the captain. After all, I failed to keep Asagi-san safe. This is the least I can do. Thank you. Let's seize the moment then, Naruhodo-san. Just select move and we can leave this cabin at last. Move. Alright, let's see what we can find out. Move. First class passageway. Is that a mousetrap? Why? Whew, I'm finally out of that cabin. I have to admit, this isn't quite what I was expecting. It's less spacious out here than I thought it would be, and this is the most luxurious accommodation. Yes, indeed. Kazuma-sama was being sent on the study tour by the government. That's why he was being put up in a first-class cabin. Even still, this is about twice as large as my accommodation in steerage. Really? That must be awful. Oh, look over there. That's another crewman keeping watch, and he looks enormous, even if he is sitting down. The door next to him leads to the second-class accommodation. I suppose he's making sure that no one comes in here who shouldn't. I suppose. Like people in handcuffs? Naruhodo-san, you look like a little boy visiting a toy shop for the first time. I would have thought you'd be used to the ship by now. We've been at sea for 2 weeks already. Well, yes, I know. But the thing is, I was inside Kazuma's trunk when I first came aboard. And ever since then, I've been shut up inside that little wardrobe. It must have been a very trying time for you. Please, don't give me that pitying look. Examine. What the fuck is this mousetrap? Ah, a trap for catching mice. Yes, we have plenty of those back home in Japan. Although they seem to be using a lump of chalk or something as bait. Let me see. Yes, I think that's what is called cheese. It's made from the milk of cows. Cheese? I wonder what that tastes like. You can't eat it, Naruhodo-san. The trap will snap shut on your fingers. Really? But I suppose you're right. You weren't actually going to try it, were you? All I've had to eat for the past couple of weeks is Kazuma's leftovers. You don't know how hungry I've been in that wardrobe. Poor you. I'll find a little snack for you later. Now what's this? What do you think this is? It's a very pleasing shape, isn't it? That's the emergency alarm. It's probably best not to touch it. Oh, an alarm. It says, press only in times of emergency. It looks as though it sets alarm bells ringing all over the ship and brings the vessel to a complete stop. Oh, what are you doing, Naruhodo-san? You mustn't touch it. But this is an emergency situation. Just look at these handcuffs. You know full well that's not what the alarm is for. If you were to bring this vessel to a standstill for no good reason, you'd be in an even worse situation. Ha! I wish everything would just stop. This ship included. If you have to do something foolish, at least make it something that doesn't affect anyone else. This is the door to the next room. This is it. This is the cabin next to ours. The one the ventilator connects to. Yes, the ventilator from which Kazuma-sama wrote that he saw a speckled band emerging. Maybe whoever's in this cabin can help solve the particular mystery. Let's ask. No, oh! Sir, that uniform is very small on you. Oh, excuse me, we, need to get inside this cabin here. The sailor's eyes speak volumes. They're clearly saying, keep out. That's what I wrote on the sign we put over the wardrobe doors. Although this man's version is definitely more effective. It doesn't look like he's going to let us pass. That's a problem. Hold on. This looks like a planet, the SS Buria. It shows each deck. Look. The Buria is a large-scale steamship with a triple-skinned hull. What a marvel of engineering. Well, it's been playing on my mind for a while now, actually, but... how is it that such a huge lump of metal doesn't just sink to the bottom of the ocean? Oh, that's really quite simple, Naruhodo-san. Is it? Well, consider the Japanese archipelago. The islands of Japan? Yes, they're not metal, but they are enormous lumps of earth, many, many times larger than the ship. And they don't sink, do they? They've been floating happily on the sea since the gods created them. Does she not know that the ocean is just a giant pool of water and that under that is land? And that the island is basically just a mountain that's peeking its head above the water? Is that pipe again? That's a huge book on the top of the table there, and there's a pen next to it. Yes, that looks like the ship's log. Shall we have a little look through it? The writing is so neat and precise. Every detail about the voyage has been meticulously recorded. You wouldn't expect a rough and ready sailor to have such beautiful handwriting. And nothing. No reaction at all. I thought he might appreciate the compliment. I'm not sure that rough and ready is much of a compliment, Naruhodo-san, even to a sailor. Anyway, last night's log is mostly blank. Presumably that means there was nothing to report. That's the way to the second class area of the ship. Is something wrong? I was thinking about making a run for it, just for a moment. Things aren't exactly going well for me. Okay, I gotta say, she does look kind of cute. I might be wrong, but I imagine the moment you reach for the handle of the door, that burly seaman would surely shoot you dead. Oh dear. I'm sorry. Perhaps I went a little too far there. No, I started with my talk of running away. And there's no way I could run away while Kazuma's death remains a mystery anyway. Hi there! Excuse me, but could I ask you something? You? You little stowaway murderer! That wasn't a good start, was it? Alright, let me try instead. Good day, Mr. Sailor. I'm so sorry to trouble you, but could I perhaps ask you something? You? You little third-class ladies' maiden! I don't know why I said maiden when it was just maid. Oh. We seem to have caught this sailor on a bad day, Susato-san. I'm not a sailor. My mother gave me a name. I am senior crewman, Biff Strong enough. Whew, the best thing is just to avoid eye contact, I think. First class cabin area. Mr. Stroganoff, about this first class cabin area. Here we are in finest part of Buria steamship, for very important persons. What sort of very important persons? Government officials, kings and queens traveling in secret, many important persons. That is why I'm always guarding this place. Gosh, that's amazing. But somehow I let a stupid stowaway inside. I want to pick you up and throw you in the ocean, but Stroganoff is not animal. Thank you? If I may, I was wondering, is the cabin next to Mr. Asagi's currently occupied? Something! Susato-san, did you understand that? It sounded like da. I think it's probably Russian for yes or no. Genius. It is not permitted to visit other cabins without invitation. Well, it sounds like there is somebody in the next door cabin, at least. Yes, it's tantalizing. Passenger in the next door cabin. Could you tell us who's traveling in the cabin next to Mr. Asagi's? His name is Mr. Grimsby Roylott. He's a very important Western gentleman. A Western gentleman? Do not think about it. He has nothing to do with the murder of Student Boy. How can you be so sure about that? Mr. Roylott is authentic Western gentleman. Such a man would have no interest in lowly student from insignificant Far East Islands. That was harsh. Did you tell us when Mr. Roylott came aboard? That is not your business. Come to think of it, even though we've been at sea for 2 weeks, and I've been in Kazuma's cabin the entire time, I've never once heard anything from the next door cabin, or even felt like there's anyone there. Well, presumably, since this gentleman is occupying one of the first-class cabins, he must be rather important. Is that right? That is not your business. Last night. Are you on watch here all the time, Seaman Stroganoff? Duh, all the time. So criminals like you cannot come in, or get out. I wonder, could you tell us anything about last night at all? It is sad about Student Boy. Were you on watch last night as well? Of course. And did you notice anything at the time? Anything unusual? Here! I'm guessing that's Niet. It was clearly a no. I saw nothing unusual. Nothing at all. And you didn't hear any strange noises or sense anything was wrong in some way? Oh, he knows something that he's not telling anyone. I said no! Sorry! I'm not so sure. I could have sworn that he wouldn't catch my eye for a moment there. He knows something. Maybe they both did it. This is enough. I cannot say more now. Oh. It is time for me to report to Captain. You must return to cabin. Yes, alright. Bulkhead is second class area is staying locked at all times. You escape when the lobster whistles on top of the mountain, or as English say, when the pigs fly. I'm sorry. You escape when the lobster whistles on top of the mountain, or as English say, when the pigs fly. I'm sorry. Weird saying. Good. Now we can investigate this area properly, shall we? Definitely. Oh, you can't go in there. Is he still here just guarding the door? This is it. This is the cabin next to ours. The one the ventilator connects to. Yes, the ventilator from which Kazuma-sama wrote that he saw a speckled band emerging. Maybe whoever's in this cabin can help solve that particular mystery. Let's ask. No answer. We're out of luck, it seems. There's no one in there to help with our inquiries. How annoying. Ah! What was that? It came from inside the cabin. Such a high-pitched scream. It must have been a woman. Stand aside. I'm about to break the door down. Mr. Sholmes. I shan't be stopped. When the fit is on me, I revel in kicking doors off their hinges. Please, wait, Mr. Sholmes. The door doesn't appear to be bolted. It doesn't? Then how the deuce can I dispatch the muscular urge? What prey can I kick? I think we should go in. There's no time to think about stress relief. Ninth, January. SS Buria. First class cabin, number 2. Who Who are you? A Western gentleman? This man looks Russian to me. We heard a woman scream. A woman? Don't be absurd! As you can see, there's nobody but me in this cabin. True, this old man does appear to be the only person in here. But in that case, who just screamed? Get out! All of you! Now! Please excuse the intrusion, but you are Mr. Grimsby Roylott, I believe. Yes, that's me. And you are? I am the one and only, the actual Herlock Sholmes! You've heard of me, no doubt. No. Okay, that was good. I am a great detective among great detectives. One who adorns the cover of popular magazines, no less. So I assure you, you may trust me completely. The man uses that magazine like a business card. A detective? I do not trust detectives. We distinctly heard a scream emanating from within these walls. But there wouldn't appear to be a lady concealing herself within the wardrobe this time. So might I be so bold as to ask you to open that small traveling case? What? Don't be stupid! How can anyone fit in a small trunk like that? Well, it's quite fashionable these days, is it not? Traveling inside one's trunk? Don't look at me. Okay, something's definitely in there. Oh my! Did you see that, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes! The case just shook! Leave! Now! Otherwise, I'll call the steward! So this is Cosmo's neighbor, Mr. Grimsby Roylott. There's no doubt about it. This strange Russian man is hiding something. I couldn't agree more. Let's see if we can find some clues before that burly sailor returns. What the fuck are you doing? Do you have a moment, please, Mr. Sholmes? You need only address me as Sholmes. That's what I just did, isn't it? Well, Mr. Sholmes, what were you doing in there? Why, I was resting, of course. Resting? Indeed, I was contemplating our sea voyage from the confines of the wardrobe whilst waiting. Waiting for the inevitable time. That you would need to call my great powers of detection into service. Oh! And it would seem that the hour is upon us now. The time has come! Am I mistaken? Well, no, actually. You're spot on, for once. Observe closely. Our Russian host in this cabin, Mr. Roylott, is clearly trying to hide something. And do you know what is the most effective weapon to use against a Russian hiding a secret? Why? The truth, of course! Though it should be pointed out that such methods are not exclusively for Russians. Right. Can you imagine how the Russian will react when the secret he guards so closely is exposed? Would you like to witness it? Oh yes, please! Well then, what you about to see may well astound you. For I am about to apply my great detective's greatly admired great deduction to the case. Could this man be more a hackneyed portrayal of a dubious Russian? I ask you. I thought that was, Ryunosuke talking at first. What? From time to time, it occurs to me. Is the fellow dubious on account of his Russianness, or Russian on account of his dubiousness? I really don't think either of those things should be occurring to you, or anyone. That's right, and Mr. Sholmes. I know this man's beard and dark glasses are hard to ignore, especially on first meeting, but I once read, it is a capital mistake to theorize before you have all the evidence. It biases the judgment. Shh! I must have complete silence! What are you doing? Why are you peering at my face like that? Just as I thought. Yes, I have quite made up my mind now. There can be no other explanation that accommodates all the facts. Mr. Roylott, I have reached two incontrovertible conclusions. What? What do you mean? Number one, your true identity is that of a villain! Using those shears, you are about to end the existence of something most dear. Are you not? Huh! And number two, the other conclusion I have drawn. You are, at this very moment no less, in the midst of committing a most grievous crime. Beneath that beard, your mouth quivers with nervous tension as you realize you have been discovered. Does it not? Act! Oh, Naruhodo-san! I never imagined I would witness one of Mr. Sholmes' greatest deductions with my own eyes! That was a great deduction? Nothing can deceive Mr. Sholmes. In a single glance, he can deduce all there is to know about a person. What? What inevitable twaddle! Oh yes! I've read about it countless times in the adventures of Herlock Sholmes, and now I've experienced the astonishing impact his great deduction firsthand. This is like a dream come true! I can hardly believe it, but all the color has drained from Mr. Roylott's face. It looks like somehow both Mr. Sholmes' conclusions were right. How? How could you? How could I possibly know such things, you wish to say? Very well then. I shall elucidate. I shall explain how it is that I arrived at this pair of conclusions. So do I cordially invite you upon a journey of logical discovery. Let us bore the train of reasoning. Put plainly, let us work through my deductions together. The Great Deduction. The game is afoot. Topic 1. Old man's identity. So, the dubious-looking Russian, Mr. Roylott, obviously what catches the eye in the first place is the enormous pair of shears in your hand. Now we ask ourselves, what could you possibly want with such an implement? The answer, of course, is staring us in the face. You are on the verge of using the shears to cut away the copious beard of your... You sport. I'm very sorry. Now, moving on. The question then begged is this. Why would you desire to rid yourself of this magnificent beard, Mr. Roylott? Once again, the answer is plain. We have clear evidence to shed light on the matter. Wow, okay, I'm sorry. I need water. Or something. I'm sorry. I'll be back. Alright, I'm back. I have something to drink here. That should help. I'm starting to suspect that this is going to go incredibly long. Well, not incredibly long, but the last one, the last chapter, I mean, like, I know it was an entire chapter in full, but it was like, fucking, I'm trying to do the math in my head. It was like 5 hours in length all by itself. But that was cut up into segments that I could easily just say, like, okay, cutting this here, cutting this here, cutting this here, cutting this here. We're almost at the point where I stopped streaming. and we're still not done with the investigation. There's a part of me that wants to go over, partly because of all of the interruptions I had at the beginning of the stream, and also the fact that I'd rather stop this stream at like a to be continued or a definite stopping point, like a point where it would be appropriate. But I'm not sure about how long about this I can go. I'm definitely stopping this at 10 no matter what. Regard, if you will, this morning's newspaper, in particular the fascinating front page article. Which, it would appear, you have read also, Mr. Roylat. I'm sure it needs no further clarification. The evidence that reveals their true identity is the article about the revolutionary. In translation, the headline reads, Revolutionary villain, Bolshevik flees Russia via Shanghai. As you cannot fail to observe, the subject of the article possesses an extremely copious beard. Having noted the article yourself, you decide to remove your incriminating facial hair before it gave you away. In short, your true identity is beyond doubt. You are the fearsome Russian revolutionary himself, villain Bolshevik! Not that I've heard of you myself, you understand. A revolutionary on the run. Wrongdoing. Now, as for my second conclusion, you are, at this very moment, on the brink of committing a most grievous crime! And the proof of this crime? Over there! Oh yes, Mr. Roylat. Taken unawares, people have a propensity to let their eyes stray, you see. And I assure you, the eye speaks so much more eloquently and honestly than the mouth. The answer we seek lies where the fervent glance falls. I need to take another drink, I'm sorry. I'm like Hasanaga here. Minus the coughing up blood part. The answer we seek lies where the furtive glance falls. The proof of your crime stands before your very eyes. Yes, the traveling case. It is time, I think, that the case be opened and its contents laid bare. No, I refuse. What could you possibly be concealing inside, we ask? My estimation? A young lady, perhaps. One slight enough to fit therein. Don't be absurd! And what, pray, would be the identity of this young lady in the traveling case? Dear me, we are not well suited to a life of crime, are we? Your careless coup d'oeil betrays you. Once again, we need only follow your fervent glance to find the answer. Yes. The reason you refuse to open your traveling case can equally be found in the pages of this newspaper! For there is another, most stimulating article. If we turn from the fleeing revolutionary to the back page... Renowned prima ballerina, the Novovich Ballet disappears from Shanghai! Such a headline can lead us but to one conclusion. Your crime is that of abduction! And according to the article, young lady's name is Nikolai Pavlova. Conclusion. Kidnapping of a young ballerina. Thus concludes Herlock Sholmes' great deduction of this Russian enigma, Elemensky. Susato-san? That wasn't one of the great deductions I've been hearing so much about, was it? Well, the stories are full of Mr. Sholmes' brilliant deductions, you know. But that did seem a little different somehow. Excuse me, Mr. Sholmes, could you come over here a moment? Pray, what can I do for you? It's about your deductions. Would you mind? Not at all. Go on. Well, to start with, there's the newspaper article. I think we had the same discussion before, but... these two men look nothing like each other. Ah, yes. I recall our discussion earlier. And at the time, I believe I told you that the man is a revolutionary, well able to revolutionize his own appearance. Yeah, you also thought Ryunosuke was that guy. In fairness to Mr. Sholmes, Mr. Royalot does look more like this man than you do. That's not the point. And another thing, the part about him abducting the ballerina. Indeed, a truly startling revelation. At first glance, the case would appear too small to accommodate a young woman. Not just at first glance, it is too small, clearly. You'd be lucky to fit a 5-year-old child into that case, even if you pushed really hard. I don't suppose the missing ballerina is a 5-year-old child, is she? You mean you don't know? No, the young lady is 15! No, I didn't know. How could I? Well, if she's 15, then 10 years worth of her would be poking out from the case. Some years ago, I read something pertinent, I believe. A troop of men consuming vinegar daily in order to promote a certain liveliness in their bodies. Vinegar? For such a sour bunch, it would surely be simplicity itself to contort oneself into the confines of that small case. Oh dear, you might be thinking of contortionists in the circus, Mr. Sholmes. This whole thing is turning into a circus. Mr. Naruhodo, something occurred to me about Mr. Sholmes' deductions just now. I think his powers of observation are, well, magical. His eyes cut to the heart of a matter almost instantly. I accidentally opened the court record. It's just where he directs his attention and his logic that seems a little off. Your idea of a little may be a little off itself, Mr. Sato. It's just one or two key words in his deductions that seem to let him down. So I was wondering if we might perhaps tactfully switch them for alternatives. What do you think? Switch some key words in his deductions? Yes, but very tactfully. I'm sure if we could do that, we'd unlock the true genius of Mr. Sholmes' great deduction. Precisely the thought that was going through my own mind. This man's a lot of work. At times, I wonder how anyone puts up with me. It's not that funny. Ah, and you, my good fellow. Sorry? Take a moment to look at your wrists. My wrists? Oh, at some point we were freed. Ah, where are your handcuffs? Huh? How did... I felt that they may hinder your ability to follow me in our dance of deduction. I don't believe it. Mr. Sholmes, you are a marvel. And don't worry, I shall restore the shackles to your wrists when we are finished. I'm not worried. In fact, I'd rather stay like this. So, let us begin. Sherlock Sholmes is proud to present his Logic and Reasoning Spectacular. Course correction. Hold it, Mr. Sholmes. Old man's identity. Let's see how this works. So, the dubious-looking Russian catches eye in the first place. Is the enormous pair of shears in your hand? That is true. Now we ask ourselves, what could you possibly want with such an implement? The answer, of course, is staring us in the face. Okay, so how do I do this? You are on the verge of using the shears to cut away your copious beard of sorts, can I? Okay, I hit the stick and something happened. I'm not sure. Would you really use shears like that to cut off a beard? I mean, I wouldn't, but then again, I live in the 21st century in a world of electric razors. So, I don't know. I doubt that's something I'll ever have to worry about. It doesn't quite sit right with me, though. It doesn't seem to be sitting right with Mr. Roylott either. Which means I suppose that the deduction is wrong. Let's try to switch a keyword here, Naruhodo-san, and see if it helps matters. Alright, but how? I think we should start by taking a long, hard look at Mr. Roylott. Sorry. I wonder if it's really his beard that he intended to use those shears on. Exactly. If we do manage to find something that seems to fit the sense of Mr. Sholmes' deduction better, then what? Then I'll leave the rest in your capable hands, Naruhodo-san. I already know what's happening. This is the ballerina. This is the I can't open the court record here. This is the girl that they were talking about, who had the tiara. And I know because I watched the trailer and I saw him turn the model around, or at the very least went behind the model, and there was just long blonde hair there. Well, anyway, let's see if there's anything we could even use to switch around in that last sentence. What exactly was Mr. Roylott really going to use those enormous shears for? There we go. What the? What's this? It looks like a cascade of stunning golden locks. No. The color is not the point. The point is, what's it doing on the back of Mr. Roylott's head? And how is it growing out from underneath his thick black hair? Well, yes, that's true. So it's stunningly beautiful and stunningly surprising. Something's definitely not right here.
Yes!
You were on the verge of using the shears to cut away the golden locks! You were on the verge of using the shears to cut away the golden locks you sport! Indeed! You have identified the precise detail I was intending to expose! Such lush golden hair certainly does not befit an old man. You're not a man at all. You're a woman, and judging from the length and sheen of your hair, one still very much in her youth. Oh no! If only I had managed to cut off my hair, no one would have suspected. The question then begged is this. Why would you desire to rid yourself of these magnificent locks? Once again, the answer is plain. We have clear evidence to shed light on the matter. I'm sure it needs no further clarification. The evidence that reveals their true identity is the article about the revolutionary. Okay, so it's just a coincidence. Well, that was a shock. I had no idea the old man was really a young woman in disguise, did you? What? Why are you staring at me like that? Yes, it was a surprise, Naruhodo-san. You're enjoying this, aren't you? Sorry? You look like you're in your element as you dance around the room deducing the facts of Mr. Sholmes. I'm just doing what we agreed. I'm not having fun or anything, baka! Yes, I understand. Say no more. Well, anyway, let's focus on the next part of Mr. Sholmes' deduction, shall we? The evidence that he's picked out doesn't fit the facts at all now. No, that's not true. Given that Mr. Roylott is actually a woman, exactly, he, or rather she, can't possibly be this merciless revolutionary. I suppose it's because the deduction as a whole has taken a different direction now. Yes. Let's switch the evidence for something else. Something that fits the facts as we now understand them. For some reason, this woman needed to try to hide her true identity. I feel as though I've either read or heard about a young woman in a situation like that recently. Alright, I'll do my best. This one.
Yes!
The evidence that reveals your true identity is, of course, the article about the ballerina. That's right, you've hit the nail on the head. Renowned prima ballerina of the Novovich Ballet disappears from Shanghai. It would appear we are finally able to address you by your true name. Yes, because your true identity is that of Novovich Ballet's prima ballerina, Miss Nikolai Pavlova. Ah! And the scissors just... Oh! I'm sorry, what? You're right. My real name is Nina. I mean, Nikolina Pavlova. But please, I beg you, don't tell anyone. A ballerina on the run. Solved! Wrongdoing. Original conclusion. Kidnapping of a young ballerina. But she is the young ballerina, so it has to be something else. Now, as for my second conclusion, it was obviously wrong, as we can already tell. You are at this very moment on the brink of committing a most grievous crime. And the proof of this crime? Over there! Oh yes, Miss Pavlova. Taken unawares, people have a propensity to let their eyes stray, you see. Ah, and I assure you, the eye speaks so much more eloquently and honestly than the mouth. The answer we seek lies where the furtive glance follows. The proof of your crime sits before our very eyes. Yes, the traveling case. This woman is the ballerina, and she's right in front of our eyes. What I'm confused of is, okay, we saw the chest shake, and the only thing I can conclude from that is that the snake is inside the case, but I would sooner assume it's in the sack, or maybe I've been watching too much wrestling, too much Shake the Snake Roberts. So clearly she can't be inside the traveling case as well. Also, like, I feel like a sack would just, like, I mean, just throwing in the thing in a sack like that would just more likely damage it, while putting it in a case like that, it would be more, I don't fucking know. So clearly she can't be hiding that traveling case as well. No, that's right. It seems she wasn't abducted at all. In which case, what is the crime this young woman is apparently committing? Ha, I can see I'm going to have to step in and fix the great detective's mistake again. You seem to look pleased, Naruhodo-san. Do you like the idea of another chance to dance around Mr. Sholmes? Stop it. Anyway, there must be something else here that shows what this woman is up to. Oh, hold on. The waste paper basket? Let's have a little look inside. Naruhodo-san, it's poor etiquette to go sifting through someone's rubbish, you know. Ugh, those eyes. She's looking at me like I'm a piece of rubbish now. However, these are special circumstances, I think. Exactly, we have no choice. There's hardly anything in here at all. Oh, well, that's a little disappointing. Can we... Okay, I guess I was mistaken. Oh, how did I not notice that? Wow, look at this dazzling tiara. I've never seen anything like it. Are those real diamonds, do you think? Real diamonds of a tiara of that... Oh, Naruhodo-san, try it on. What, me? Isn't it usually girls who wear tiaras? Wouldn't you like to try it on? Oh no, I couldn't possibly. It's far too beautiful. Why does this tiara look familiar? I feel like I've seen it somewhere recently. How did I not notice this? I looked over here before. How did I not notice it? The proof of your crime is surely this tiara. Ah! I believe this tiara is worn on stage by dancers in the Novovich Ballet, is it not? 1 second, I have to make disgusting sinus noises. Okay, I made my noises, but I think I just made it worse. I'm just gonna have to wait. Indeed, it would appear to be identical to the tiara pictured here in this newspaper article. And if the reporting is to be believed, it's an item worth 20,000 rubles, which is about $7,500 in today's U.S. money. So unless I'm missing something. In summary, the crime you have committed is theft. Oh no! Yes, you theft your ballet troupe unlawfully taking their precious tiara with you. I have no one, no family, no friends. I am all alone, and I need money. But I did not steal the tiara. It was a present from, how do you say, an Earl of Prussia? It belongs to me! This girl is only 15 years old, and she's run away all by herself. She must have been extremely lonely. Alright? Oh, I'm sorry. Alright, I will tell you everything. There is no point in hiding it now. Come, come, let us not be hasty. What? There remains one unsolved mystery about you. Mystery? What do you mean? You have staunchly refused to open this traveling case of yours in our presence. Now, in all honesty, I would just assume that there are clothes in there, and that we don't need to go through that, but we did see it violently shake. It is unreasonable to conclude, therefore, there exists some reason why you wish it to remain closed. Is that not so, Miss Pavlova? My dear girl, there is no sense in playing games with me. Nothing escapes my attention. Indeed, I have a very good idea of the content of your case, even before I have ever laid eyes on them. Dear me. You are not well suited to a life of crime, are we? Your careless coup d'oeil has betrayed you. Once again, we need only follow your fervent glance to find the answer. Yes, the reason why you refused to open your case... What? I'm lost now. Those books were like the exact same way when we found Kazuma's body, and they were apparently like neat before, so maybe. But why has he suddenly brought the bookshelf in all this? It's just a wild guess, surely. Oh, do you think so? Well, it doesn't seem likely that the reason why this woman doesn't want to open her case would have been written in a book that doesn't even belong to her. Yes, that's true, but still. Miss Pavlova certainly did cast her eye in that direction. I noticed it myself, and there has to be another reason why she won't open her case. It must be somewhere in the same area, if that's where her gaze was involuntarily drawn. I agree, that's the only answer. Whatever she has hidden inside that case should be revealed by following her gaze in the direction of the bookcase. Okay, so what I think went down with Kazuma's case right now is that for whatever reason, she has a snake with her, and the snake went up through the ventilation. Well, then why would... I'm very confused. Never mind. I was about to chalk it up to just being an accident, really, but that can't be it. Yes, the reason why you refuse to is written in the bookshelves. Okay, so we can look around. This is a charming little picture, isn't it? What is it? Someone climbing a steep mountainside? Or descending one, it seems to me. When you've been on the flat sea for a while, maybe you start seeing hills and mountains and everything. Oh yeah, it says no pets, and she has a snake. Passengers must not keep weapons or other dangerous objects in their cabins. Pets are also strictly forbidden. There are exactly the same in our cabin too. I wonder what happens if you break the rules. Oh dear, I'm sure the punishment would be severe, Naruhodo-san. You'd probably be left adrift in the freezing cold ocean, or shut inside a tiny wardrobe for days on end. So I've actually been serving time for weeks now, have I? Is it this? Did I do it right? Yes, the reason why you refuse to open your case is written in the rules of passage. Passengers must not keep weapons or other dangerous objects in their cabins. Pets are also strictly forbidden. Inside that case of yours is something forbidden from carriage on this vessel. That is the real reason why you refuse to open it, thus revealing its contents. Yeah, something's in there. As we've seen, the trunk wobbles from time to time. But no weapon or other dangerous item would move of its own accord. Which leaves but one possibility, Miss Pavlova, inside your traveling case. I love this. Is the last item listed as forbidden in the vessel's rules of passage. A pet. Ah! Wrongdoing. Conclusion. Correct conclusion. Possession of a prohibited animal. Solved. Deduction complete. Elementary. Can I just say that I absolutely love that? 100%. More of it, please. So clearly you aren't who you said you were. No, I'm not Grimsby Roylott. My real name is Nikolina Pavlova. Everything you said was correct. You absconded during one of your ballet company's performances in order to escape your homeland. Later that same night, you stole aboard this vessel. Which couldn't have been easy. The Buria is a huge steamship with a vast crew. Could she really have snuck on board without being noticed? Well, I don't think she does, considering the crew, know her disguised identity, her alter ego, I guess, or whatever, by name. In order to obscure your true identity, you somewhat recklessly took the guise of an old gentleman. And you intended to sever all links with your past by severing your long hair. Yet to a woman, hair is no trifling matter. My personal recommendation is to leave well alone. So, if it was just you about to cut off your own hair... I'm sorry, I thought she was talking. Who was it that let out the scream we heard from outside the cabin? That veritable tinkling of a bell? Why, none other than this young lady, naturally. More like a full set of pipes, if you ask me. I was so scared when I ran away in Shanghai. I was sure they would come looking for me. That's why I decided to, how do you say, disgust myself so no one would recognize me? As a result, you transform yourself into that questionable old man? I see. I put on the fur hat and fake beard. Then, just before you came in here, I saw it in the newspaper. Right on the page, there was a picture of me. I was so frightened, I couldn't stop from screaming. I knew that if I didn't change my appearance completely, they would find me. So I decided to cut all my hair as fastly as possible. I picked up the scissors in my hand and... At that precise moment, we walked in through the annoyingly unlocked cabin door. Things happen like that sometimes, don't they? Things do indeed happen like that from time to time. I'm sorry, I think I can finally get it out of my system. 1 second. Okay, it wasn't pleasant, but I think I got it all out that time, or at least most of it. Are these two even talking about the same thing? There's just one more thing I'd like to know. What exactly do you have inside your traveling case? You were right. You were right. It is my dear friend inside. My only friend in the whole world. Please, Don't tell anyone. If the captain finds out, if you say to any of the crew... The secret is safe with us, I assure you. But in return, you must tell us, in as much detail as you can muster, about the events of last night. Yes, all right. I will tell you. Well, Mr. Naruhodo? Wasn't it something, Mr. Shulm's great deduction? It was certainly something, yes. I'm just not entirely sure what. But at least Miss Pavlova has agreed to tell us what she knows. That's incredible. Indeed, it is incredible! Ah, and one more thing. Oh, yes? What? The handcuffs. Observe your wrists. They're already back on, aren't they? Ah! Your hands are cuffed again! What? But how? True to my word, I have restored your shackles. When and why? There is still a shadow of guilt cast over you, Mr. Naruhodo. I'm sorry to say, it can't be helped at the moment. Can't it, really? Anyway, let's listen to what Miss Pavlova has to say. I can't go on not knowing. I had to find out what the speckled band that Kazuma-sama wrote about in his diary really was. What happened last night? Did you know that someone was killed in the cabin next door to this one last night? One of the crewmen told me this morning when I was eating breakfast. The man who died, he was a friend of mine. Oh! That's why we're trying to find out what happened. Did you notice anything unusual last night? Perhaps you heard a strange noise, for example? Perhaps people talking? Perhaps the ship was absorbed in a wild tempest? Perhaps its steam engine exploded? Perhaps everyone on board would have noticed if that had happened? Miss Pavlova, is there anything you can tell us? I don't know. I'm sorry, but all I could think about last night was what I had done and whether they would find me. I didn't notice anything that was happening around me. Oh, I see. Running away. You've run away from your ballet company, haven't you? The Novovich Ballet? Yes. I am traveling to Great Britain, and from there, I want to go to America. I will never dance again. I want to forget everything about the ballet. I will start a new life. You wish to forget? A challenging proposition. When you have that striking tiara as a reminder. But the tiara is mine! I need it to live! Probably looking to sell it in America for money. I have no money. Yeah, exactly. The Novovich Ballet gives us only a little food and water. Fucking what the hell? We must dance all over the world. I had to run away. I had no choice. If I stayed, it would have killed me. So you ran away to protect yourself? Yes, and the crew of this ship, they have all been kind to me. They let me come on board, and they said I could hide in this cabin. So the crew know! If that is indeed the truth, Miss Pavlova, it creates a more intriguing conundrum. Yeah, if they know, why are you asking us to keep it secret? Yes, it does. What do you think about it, Mr. Naruhodo? Me? Oh, well, yes, of course. I think we should hear Miss Pavlova's explanation. To what conundrum, I'm not sure, but... Conundrum. Miss Pavlova, allow me to pose you a riddle. According to this newspaper, it was only yesterday that you absconded from the ballet. Now, that being the case, it must have been last night that you boarded this vessel. Huh? Yeah, I didn't think of that. But that then begs another question. How did these newspapers get here? Now that I think about it, the crewman outside the cabin acted very strangely when we mentioned that. It was just after we asked him about when the occupant of this cabin came aboard. That is not your business. He did seem to be hiding something. An angel descended from the heavens, bringing grace and beauty to the stage. Sorry? What was that? It is how the Russian newspapers described one of my performances. And that is how I came here too. I descended from the heavens. Okay. No, I'm sorry. I have to look this up. I have to look this up. Because I'm an idiot who doesn't even know when planes were invented. Okay, that's actually about right. December 17th, 1903, according to Google. I didn't click on any articles, that's just what Google said, and I need to get back onto the stream. So I guess technically it's possible that she just jumped from a plane and parachuted down? Considering English isn't your mother tongue, your description is very vivid. Mr. Sholmes once said, I never can resist a touch of the dramatic. It seems Miss Pavlova is the same. A genius descended from the heavens, bringing grace and beauty to detection. Words once said about myself. A quote from a wonderfully extravagant advertisement for the adventures of Sherlock Sholmes, in fact. Yes, Mr. Showy. Anyway, it doesn't look like Miss Pavlova is going to tell us what really happened. So the friend you mentioned is inside your traveling case, is that right? I don't think animals are allowed on board according to the rules of passage. Oh please, don't tell any of the crew. If they find my precious... Then the burly Russians would bestir themselves in unison to throw you and your case overboard, no doubt. Ah! So reassuring, Mr. Sholmes. But what sort of pet is your friend? A little puppy? Is it? It is, isn't it? It's a snake. Maybe an adorable little rabbit? Ha! You credit Russia as a land with small rabbits, do you? Oh, don't they have small rabbits there then? You may as well ask. I have no idea. You two are miserable bunglers when it comes to understanding the nature of young ballerina's friends. Isn't it obvious? It must be a chicken! Really? Consider the benefits. A rousing wake-up call, daily fresh eggs, and when adversity strikes, it can satisfy the needs of sustenance. You'd eat your friends? I'll remember that. No, it's not that either, though. I guess it could lay eggs if it's female. Well, it would appear this friend's identity is closely guarded secret not to be revealed. Ha 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 ha! She obviously doesn't quite trust us yet. There's something I should like to show her, I think. Maybe she might be able to shed some light on it. Yeah, I get the feeling that if we tell her about the speckled band, she'd be like, "Oh no!" This is the diary of my friend who passed away. His diary? Yes. And he wrote in it last night before he died. Something a little unusual, it reads. 1:23. I can hear a faint whistling sound. And then a few minutes later... 1:35 a.m. What looks like some sort of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill. A speckled band? I don't understand. So what happened was the ship stopped to let her on, and then she was like, "Okay, my friend, you can go loose." And then the snake's just like, "I'm gonna go up into the vent because it's a dark hole." And I'm no expert on snakes, but I think snakes like dark holes like that. It's strange, isn't it? But the ventilator he mentioned joins to this cabin, you see. It's up there on the wall. In other words, this cabin and the victim's cabin are connected together. Oh! Miss Pavlova, has something occurred to you? Does the speckled van the victim mentioned mean something to you? Or the whistling sound, perhaps? No. I don't know anything. Oh. She's looking over at the case. It's a snake that's in her case. Knock, knock. Excuse me, Mr. Roylott. Yes? Oh, she got back in disguise quick. Wow, she's fast. My thoughts exactly, Rinosuke. Captain would like to speak with you. You must come to the captain's quarters at once, please. Alright, I will come now. What? You must leave, now. Oh no, it's fine. Don't mind us. Yes, please don't worry yourself, Mr. Roylott. Get out! The passenger said out, or you want me to throw you out! Ugh, it looks like we'll have to leave investigating this cabin until later. I should have probably done a little more investigating in here. Like into the bookshelf. Like, why is that the same way Kazuma's bookshelf is? And so we lost our chance. Having still not managed to investigate Miss Pavlova's cabin, we were unceremoniously chased out. That is to say, we were quite literally picked up and thrown into the passageway outside. To be continued, and I can stop the stream. Alright, so in the next part, I guess we will be continuing our investigation? I'm not entirely sure. But that will have to wait until next week at 7 o'clock. In between now and then, on Saturday, 2 p.m., I will be streaming Mass Effect, Legendary Edition, specifically Mass Effect 2, where we will continue to grow our new crew. Alright, I will see you guys then.